This food has a bigger effect on your heart disease risk than fat ever had. Hi, I'm Dr. Emil Tompkins, and we're going to learn about a food that has a greater risk for people with heart disease, or a greater risk of heart disease death, than fat has ever had on the body. And that food is sugar. And here's why. Sugar has a lot of different effects on the body that are very negative. Number one is sugar causes inflammation, and we talked about the issues with inflammation, that we want to avoid inflammation at all costs. Well, it's very difficult with sugar because when your blood sugar starts to change and rises and falls dramatically, our insulin response creates a little bit of an inflammatory response in the body. When you're under stress, your body's insulin resistance is lowered, and so if we have a lowered insulin resistance, then we're going to have more inflammation in the body too. When there's a lot of insulin that's secreted, your body also stores fat. Now, this is interesting. We may think, well, if I eat fat, then my body's going to store fat. That's actually not true. If you eat a high protein, relatively high fat diet in the absence of a lot of the simple sugars, still getting carbohydrates from like vegetables and that sort of thing, but in the absence of a lot of the simple sugars, your body actually learns to use fat for energy. And fat is a very good energy source, so your body burns fat really well. However, if you eat a lot of fat and you eat a lot of sugar, your body's going to burn that sugar, and the insulin secretion is going to cause your body to store fat. We absolutely want to avoid sugar. But then, one of the bigger reasons why sugar is an issue is because of this thing called advanced glycation end products. If you have a ton of sugar in your diet, then this glycation process happens, and then what's left over is this advanced glycation end product. And what that is, it's something that will try to bind to a protein, and when it binds to a protein, it becomes this big, thick, sticky substance, which is the last thing you want floating around in your arteries. It will very quickly clog arteries. It will very quickly create damage to our blood vessels, leading to a significant increase in your risk of heart disease. We really, really want to make sure that we're avoiding sugar. When you combine that high sugar diet along with a high fat diet, that's worse, because the fat that you're taking in then gets stored to a much higher level than if you were just eating fat and protein. So try to avoid the sugar. Stick with a high protein diet, getting your sugar and carbohydrates from your vegetables, and your body will burn fat, and you'll have a much lowered risk of heart disease. There was a study of 31,000 people on their diets and what happened with their heart disease risk. And this study was related to the amount of sugar that people were taking in. And in this study, those who had the highest sugar content, or people who had sugar intake of 25% or more of their calories, had a 4 times greater risk of heart attack death than those who had a sugar content of 10% or less of their diet. So decrease the amount of sugar in your diet, and you will notice a decrease in your chance of developing heart disease.